The heart of British motorsport welcomes you all here for the ASETEK Sim Sports Community Trophy. That's right, we're back again for what has been an already very exciting championship up to this point. My name is Paul Jeffrey, and in the box next to me, I'm going to welcome a new person to join me. Christian Romano, welcome to the broadcast, sir. How are you?
Thank you, Paul, for the word. Thank you to all the viewers that are coming here for Donington. And I'm feeling well, because M2 is very close to touring cars, so it means a lot of racing and a lot of hard racing, because I think we will see some liveries being swapped around in the drivers in the door side, considering the heritage of what is touring car and what is car. The M2 competition really basically gives us a bit of a remembrance of what is touring car. So hard racing, wheel to wheel, door to door, and whoever is stronger is the best. No dirty air, no setup.
I absolutely agree with you, of course, because last time around we raced in the Porsche Cup, and now we're in the BMW M2 CS Racing. And these are the championship standings from our opening race of the season. SOP Esports Racing are our championship leaders, 159 points scored across their 3 cars. The SimGrid, the Sim Zone even, are in second position with 112 points, and they've got just a 2-point advantage over QRT Esports in third position. A little further back, JLM Motorsport with 96 points are in a close fight with the Sim Racing Collective. 1 point separates them, and a further 4 points in arrears are DC Sim Racing. That are our top 6 teams that are taking part. We've got 25 drivers on the grid for this race. Lightspeed Racing, 89 on the board. They'll be looking for a big score to put themselves into that top 6 in the final rankings. FRL Racing Team, they've bought 3 drivers. They had a difficult time last time out, only 68 points on the board. And then VGTR Esports and Trackalicious round out our 10 teams, our 10 communities that are represented on the SimGrid platform in this ASETEK Sim Sports Community Trophy, Christian. Lots of drivers have a big opportunity to put a big result in today at Donington, don't they?
Yeah, exactly as you said, we actually have a very close situation between the drivers. We have literally just 2 points between the second and third, with SOP effectively having a good lead on the following drivers. Their lineup is also very strong. We have Peter Brett, Simon Bauer and Joe Boyle, that for whoever doesn't know, they are a very optimum driver that really put their strong together, especially in the sprint races. But I think that many teams also came with a different lineup even to overcome the situation in points. We have, for example, FRL Racing Team. I know for a fact that Alex Zakdal and Benjamin Eck are very good drivers, and I think they can at least try to get back the FRL team from a very low spot on the situation in the standings to a bit of a higher point, considering their deficit on the lead. Even if the mid pack is extraordinarily packed up, is effectively few points. There are basically 5 teams in the span of 20 points, not even, and we have 2 races, so everything can happen and everything can change.
Absolutely. 2 races, 30 points for a race victory. We pay all the way down to a single point for 30th and last position. But the big thing people at home need to remember is each driver scores points for their team. And in theory, there's a maximum of 3 drivers per team. So you're not relying on just quote unquote your star driver. It's the strength of the squad in its entirety will bring home points. So big championship, big opportunity, and of course the grand final will take place live at the SimRacing Expo as the drivers racing from home will be broadcast on the stage in Dortmund on the 13th of October. So big opportunity for all concerned. But Christian, let's talk about Donington Park for a moment before we head on in to the racing action. Qualifying's taking place as we speak, but Donington Park, a very different circuit than what we saw last time out. Lots of opportunities to overtake, but lots of opportunities to get things very wrong indeed.
Indeed, Donington is one of the most important tracks in the British culture, but it's a very technical and difficult track. I think the main point of overtake / difficultiness will be turn 11, because effectively the hairpin will be quite a difficult situation to get nailed, because Melbourne hairpin is downhill and you have to brake hard, and if you want to make an overtake you have to really put together your head and the brakes perfectly, otherwise you literally go flying into the grass. Another important point is the S's 9 and 10, because you can get a track limit violation. You just have 3 and then it's a drive-through. One of the most important, the third most important part of the track, it's its speed, because Donington is also a high speed, as also a high speed section from turn 2 to turn 4, because that section there is right, left and right, and the old hairpin that goes close to the bridge on the left basically obliges you to really perform a braking while turning, which is highly difficult and sometimes gets you out of track into the grass, and with a track limit even there.
So let's take a look at our starting grid. SOEP Esports 1-2, Peter Brett on pole position ahead of Simon Bauer. In third place, leading the second row of the grid, is Daniel Brunshates in car number 667. Alongside him, Abe Santaima in fourth position. P5, car number 57, that is Andrew Pike. And he's got Alex Zakadal for company alongside, rocking the number 3 livery. Seventh place, car number 23, that is Kieran Sharp, alongside Kieran Quinn Smith. Eighth position on the grid in the number 5 machine. A driver hoping for a better race than qualifying, that's got to be Joe Boyle. Ninth place in 102, he's alongside Memo van der Molen in 10th position. And then Scott Vincent, car number 455, will be 11th on the grid. Company for him, Benjamin Eck in the number 1 machine. 13th place is Ian Hall in car number 87.
And we have Ricardo Mecking in the 33 in 14th position on your right for QRT, with Laura Hill on the left for Light Speed Racing. In the 16th position, Artemi Elin with Sergio Osorio on the left hand side of your screen. On the right, in the black BMW, Rejoy Thysens in the 112 car, with Josh Loon in the 37 QRT, alongside the number 15, Cody Besselink in 20th position. Then Carl Van Horn in the number 13 with Patrick Wissers in the DC SimRacing. And then we have the final positions with Remco Ottens, Arne Sealing for the last of the high-speed racing. We have Paranav Kalavala in 1-2-3 for JL Motorsport, with Ralph van der Meer completing your grid of 26 drivers.
So there we go. The grid has been set. It is 10:14 in the morning at a virtual Donington Park for these drivers. You can see that the conditions are overcast. The wind is quite strong. Donington Park is one of those tracks where, even when the rest of the United Kingdom is baked in sunshine, it is often a very cold racetrack indeed. And these drivers have got to overcome these conditions over the course of this very short 20-minute race. Very difficult, Christian, for drivers in 20 minutes to have the confidence to push forward to make up places, because there's always a risk factor that if you have a bad opening race, that's really going to struggle in the overall point standings, isn't it?
The difficultness is effectively the 20 minutes lifespan of your race, and the fact that this is a very technical track. So the result situation is that you have to push in sort of extreme ways to get another position. Furthermore to the issue is the fact that whoever is behind these two drivers, the SOP teammates, they will probably go in tandem, and I suppose they will do a sort of team boat with creating a wall behind them. So the 667 of Brunschitz will have a very difficult time overtaking not only one but both of them, probably considering they will work as a team and as a sort of a shield for the driver ahead. Even more, as I was saying earlier, this is a very technical circuit. This section here, this turn in the right-hander, which is also uphill, really is not easy, because you have to brake in a sort of blind spot, because you don't really have a brake marker there. And I know that many will try to overtake there, just because it's not a very common place to overtake, and also because if you nail it, it really gives you a lot of space to work it out, because you can see here is the main straight. This is not very long, so if you can manage to take the position in turn 8 at Coppice, you probably have it done until 11, I think, because in the chicane it's very impossible to make a move, and if you do so, good luck on that.
Yeah, we can see the foggy S's now. Take a look at that tyre stack on the inside. That won't last for very long at all in these BMW M2 CS Racing Cups. But let's concentrate now on the race that is about to unfold ahead of us. The two SOP cars are in 1 and 2 on the grid. As Christian mentioned, will there be some inter-team play for the rundown into the first corner at Redgate? Or will it be a case, as is usually the incidents, best laid plans are thrown out of the window as soon as the lights go green? We will soon find out as car number 100, Peter Brett, leads these 26 cars to the line, 2x2 formation. There you go. Eyes very firmly on the starting lights at the top of your screen. In a few moments' time, the ASETEK Sim Sports Community Trophy Round 2 at Donington Park is go as we head down to Redgate Corner, the BMW M2 CS Racing Cup field, charging in to the opening turn. We've got to be careful not to get wrapped up in any kind of incident in these opening few corners. Everybody seems to be nice and smooth as we run now through Hollywood and down to the most famous section of corners in British motorsport, of course. It is the Crane Curves, and at this moment in time, we have still got an SOP 1-2 Andrew Pike trying to make some positions as well to the inside of the old airpin. And Christian, somebody in the background, is off onto the grass.
I can confirm it was, I think it was the car number 87 on the grass just by a brief look, but we are looking here at the battle for 6th position. It's even teammates battling for the same position. They are currently battling for the 5th, because Alex Zachtal was in fear of losing it for a brief moment and then managed to overcome the situation and stay in 5th position in the car number 3. Following the car number 20, you can see the 20 is a bit far off into the distance compared to the 67. In the same way as Zachtal is a bit far away. Oh, there is a little bit of a lunge into the chicane for one of the 3 SOP members, the one that is slightly behind on schedule, currently in 9th position. Joy Boyle trying the outside on the hairpin in turn 11. There is also a car in the inside, slight contact between the two of them, and there is a 4 wide into the hairpin. Majestic stuff here with the FRL car making the position for themselves. I think the SOP can still make it on turn 12, maybe by launching the brakes a bit. And there is another 2 wide, double 2 wide in the last hairpin, with, I think the teammates are kind of struggling to work it together. No, they are not teammates, apologies for it. I thought from a long distance they were teammates for the black color of their hood for a moment. And it's currently another situation in the background. I think it was an overtake, indeed it was an overtake between the pink car. I think it was indeed Macking Smith battling for position, and they are still doing so in the very fast section. Now coming across, and I think the very colorful car will be on it for the matter. In fact, it was.
Yeah, good stuff so far. We're looking at Alex Zachtal now to the inside for FR Racing. That's the number 20, Assetto. They're trying to go alongside for the run up the hill. It's not really an overtaking position at this part of Donington, and Zachtal does well to drop behind again with a mistake from the 20. He's off into the gravel, and that is 4th position for FRL Racing. An easy overtake there for Alex Zachtal. He's got some clean air now. His job is, can he close up on Daniel Brunschitz ahead as we're looking at this battle into the chicane. The 57 and 23 are headed by Pike, with Sharp for company just behind as well. And it's been a frenetic opening few corners here at Donington Park, as we expected at the top of the show. These cars and this track, as a combination of one, make some fantastic racing. And already 16 minutes and 52 seconds left on the clock as Quinn Smith for Trackalicious side by side into the Melbourne hairpin. The outside line is not the optimal line though, and Smith drops back into 12th position. Van der Molen survives for another few corners.
It was a brief moment that we nearly saw colliding them. Now they are going into the main straight, the one that brings you on the start-finish line. Still one after the other, no overtakes on the current situation. We saw a couple of contacts going along the past 4 minutes. Honestly, not really surprised. And it was a very sharp move by Zachtal in the number 3. Effectively, what I said it would have happened. Trying the overtake, and oh wait, there is a side-by-side here in a very fast corner. It's currently on the right hand. I don't know who will survive it. Currently the red one, I think it is the car number 13. No, 113 staying behind with a 13, managing to take the spot still side by side into the happy section. We are seeing from the front view of this battle for this sim racing. This could be a good overtake, but it doesn't happen. It is indeed QRT trying to get it done. A bit of an opportunistic situation, and again here in the right hander in the uphill section, as I said earlier, another trying for an overtake, side by side into the main straight, coming into the chicane, and I wonder who will make it stick. I think it's not going to be the DC Sim Racing that in fact goes behind the car of QRT, number 37, with... Oh, there is a car offside, and number 13 is off!
Yeah, that's a mistake from Van Horn on the exit of the chicane. Juice Loon now makes up 2 positions in the space of just a few yards. It's a little bit deep into the Melbourne Loop. There is Carl Van Horn that we're seeing returning to the racetrack for the Sim Zone. He drops down all the way to the back of the field, does the number 13 machine. Unlucky for some, unlucky for Van Horn at this moment in time. Let's have a look now. Ian Hall, QRT Esports, number 87, 22nd position. He's moved up 1, of course, courtesy of the mistake for Van Horn. Can Ian Hall do anything about the cars in front? He's got the pink mirrors now. But in fact, let's go back to Artemi Ilin, currently in 16th place. He's been running through down into the crane of curves. He has that position done and dusted. Before we get to this downhill section of racetrack, we're looking back on board from the VGTR Esports machine. The car behind is Besselink, trying to find a way past through the old hairpin. These cars are so understeery. That is Illin's on board now, just chatting away to his team members on voice chat, making sure that he understands exactly what he needs to do. And remember, we pay points all the way down to last position. It's critical to finish, but every place you can gain is another point for you, another point for your team and your community. What's this? This is Mamo van der Molen in 10th place now in a little battle pack as we run down the back straight into the chicane. Not really an overtaking opportunity for these drivers. So Van der Molen, stays as you were at the moment, 111. Vincent ahead in the 455 who runs downhill into the Melbourne Loop. Nobody quite close enough. Van der Molen has a look, thinks about it, decides better of it, stays in line as we get an incident between 15 and 112 on lap 2. A racing incident as Artemi Ilin still under pressure in the VGTR Esports machine. He's got for company Besselink and Osorio as well, trying to find a way past. Osorio has the inside line. Besselink will do well to try and nip the bud of that overtaking manoeuvre early. Has the inside for the run up to the start finish straight, and Redgate position safer now, but Artemi Ilin under pressure, Christian, as we're looking at Memo van der Molen still in a good battle pack.
I still think who in fact it is until the whole hairpin is, I think they can still make it stick, but the defending is very weak on the outside of the whole hairpin, and in fact it was Santemna making making the overtake on the position. Meanwhile, battle between teammates, as there is an overtake from Sharp to Pike for 5th position. I think it was a bit of a team call there. Maybe the number 23 was indeed faster than the 57. And currently now, speaking of battle for speed, we have the number 67 for JL Motorsport trying to create an overtake situation on hairpin downhill on one of the 2 SOP Motorsport cars. We have Bauer defending for Brunschwitz. Currently the situation stays clear on the Matador.
Yeah, this is interesting. Daniel Brunschwitz on the attack, and Santana makes a mistake. That's the second car that we've seen off onto the grass on the exit of the Foggy Essa, so that's dropped the VGTR car all the way to the back of the pack. So a real shame to see that mistake from the number 20, takes himself out of contention. But this is particularly interesting now. Daniel Brunschwitz has the pace to stay with this leading duo ahead of him. So the SOP cars, let's remember, they are the top of the championship standings at this moment in time. They want this 1-2, started 1-2 in qualifying as you were through the opening almost half of the race. But Daniel Brunschwitz, he's got the pace at this moment in time. There is the red and white car at the back of his shot. Can the likes of Simon Bauer that we're looking at there picture in picture, does he have the pace, does he have the life in the car, the balance in the car for the duration of this race to hold off the charge of the 667 machine? Of course, that's a JL motorsports entry in this race. This is going to be fascinating now, Christian, because now we've got over the dramas of the opening lap. It's a more strategic requirement to find a way past. Follow the car in front, understand where the pace differential between the two of you is, and then launch an attack, as Quinn Smith is doing exactly that for Trackalicious. Smith now, really good run through Coppis. This is an opportunity on the back straight for the run down into the foggy S as you want to follow. Concentrate on corner exit through the chicane. If you're Quinn Smith, that's exactly what he does. Good on the brakes, greedy on the curb, nice and straight line through the chicane. This is the opportunity for the run down into the Melbourne hairpin. Smith not quite close enough at this stage. Will he show the nose to the inside? Elects not to do so, and I think just about Vincent has enough of an overlap to keep this for another lap at least. But that's a lovely little battle, Christian, that's brewing here for 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th.
Time speaking, it was indeed... Oh, there is a little overtake on the hairpin, turn 11. It was... Oh, there is a spin! Oh, a big crash on the distance. Number 87 is currently into the wall, and it was, I think, Besselink in the number 15, creating a situation, and now Ian Hall for QRTA Esports has a very difficult time getting back on track, because effectively their front end is basically vanished on that situation. But meanwhile, back with Quinn Smith, I was looking at the times, and it really is... no, wait, I think they made the overtake. Looking at the times at the very least, that's currently on the grass. I think that is going to be the overtake from the car in 11th place, the triple one Van der Molen, trying what was possible there. But there is also VGTR Esports with ultimately Ilin, the British driver, considering an overtake on 14th place on the 112, and Ilin currently behind. Looking at the times of them, they are extremely faster compared to the adversary in front. Last lap was a 41.1, CEST made just a 42.8, so tremendous situation for the car that in fact loses the position quite easily on the number 19. There goes on a little bit of an oversteer situation on the chicane, nearly losing the car, but nevertheless keeping the position in their hands as going into Melbourne hairpin. Oh, there's contact! Never mind what I said. One contact, two contacts. I think there was 4 contacts altogether between the cars that are going now in the sandwich into 12. And now Artem Ilin has a bit of a difficulties on the straight. Possibly some front end damage too on the number 19 car, now in 19th position.
Yeah, that's a real shame for Artemili. We saw the onboard camera as well. You can see the violence on the force feedback wheel, courtesy of that contact. Artemili now drops down to 19th position, looking back at the Trackalicious number 5 of Quinn Smith, still in 10th place. Vincent just ahead, Van der Molen behind, but that's a lovely drive through the old hairpin. Has to check up, loses momentum. This is a big opportunity now for Van der Molen. Van der Molen to the outside as the run up to Swans. Now this will become the inside line for McLean's. Can Quinn Smith defend this position? Will Van der Molen find a way past? He has the inside line, 2 by 2 to go. Van der Molen takes the position. Quinn Smith drops down now into 12th place, Mecking behind, trying to find a way past as well. Shows his nose, not enough room for a BMW M2 CS Racing Cup car, so Quinn Smith survives the onslaught. Now the slipstream on the road down the back straight. We've seen an overtake is possible into the chicane. It's not a common place to pass at Donington Park, but there's still a chance for Quinn Smith on the brakes. Follow him through the chicane, trying to get the run down into Melbourne Loop. A 5-second time penalty for Eck as well for causing a collision. But Quinn Smith now, can he have the inside line? Not quite on this occasion. Van der Molen runs a little bit deep. Smith has the tight line. He'll not have the run off of the corner, and this fight is absolutely intense now. 11th, 12th, 13th position. Smith looks one way, looks the other, doesn't have enough room. Got to be careful through the final turn on the switchback, but that is covered very nicely by Van der Molen indeed, as he gets the premium run off of the corner for the run down into T1 again. And Quinn Smith trying every trick in the book, Christian, to find a way past, but really nice defending from Van der Molen there.
The situation is a bit difficult for Smith, because I was looking at the times. Their personal best, both drivers have the exact same time, 1:40.372. Smith and Van der Molen have these exact personal best, so they can't really rely on speed alone, because they have the exact same speed. They have to rely on consistency and, why not, a bit of courage on sending the car in the lines, because effectively they are the same car, they are the same pace, and the only difference here is what stands between the wheel and the driver's seat, because in this moment I don't think Smith can really rely on, oh no, I will be faster, on, oh no, I have to launch because I'm slower. He has to go in a bit of a chess play and thinking about strategy, weakness points, overtakes points, a bit of a surprise even, maybe in the chicane it doesn't happen, he slightly brakes earlier for what is Melbourne hairpin, turn 11, maybe can happen on the inside, covered inside, defending very well, but Smith brakes way later, not a lot, but at least 20 meters, enough to give him a very nice look at the driver, but not really on the position that will wait to happen, possibly until the very next lap, because on turn 12, I don't think the situation can really happen as ADAC SimRacing has it done over the Tacalicious M2, with Quinn Smith setting a lap effectively slower by 4 times compared to Van der Molen, that is now quicker than Vincent. So ultimately, it's not Smith getting closer to Van der Molen, but it's Van der Molen getting closer to Vincent, who is lapping the same pace as Smith. So Van der Molen now has the chance not to look at his mirror, but to look in front of him for another position as we go into Simon Bauer fighting for P2 against Bruschlitz, that on the last lap went just a tenth and a half faster, but there are just 3 tenths between the two cars. So you can understand that just so little is just enough.
So Simon Bauer still on the defensive in that second position. No opportunity for Daniel Brunschitz to find a way past at this stage. You can see on your screen cars 87 and 15, a racing incident judged by our stewards, so no further penalty. At this moment, Benjamin Eck is the only driver that has a time penalty in this race. 5 seconds will be applied to his time now, but this is a big opportunity for Brunschitz. Throws the car around the outside of Melbourne. He's going to be way too late on the brakes, collects the grass on the outside. That is the overtake opportunity, and the chance done for second position, but Zakadal now very firmly in the conversation for the bottom step of the podium. Andrew Pike still defending very hard from his Sim Racing Collective teammate Benjamin Eck. Eck does not need to be looking to challenge Pike at this moment in time, because as things stand, that 5-second penalty will drop him back. He needs to find another 2.5 seconds to defend on circuit from Boyle in 8th place, but that was a big mistake from Brunschitz into the Melbourne loop, and now he's very firmly outside of contention for that fight for second position. Cody Besseling, not seen much of him from the sim zone. He's currently in 24th place. His car number 15. It makes contact with teammate Van Horn as well. Van Horn does well to collect the car on corner exit. Besseling, breathe off the throttle, allow your teammate to retain that position, but you do not want to be making contact with another car who's just ahead of them. That is somebody out wide, rejoins in contact again. That's the secondary contact for Van Horn. This time he's in the tyre barriers at the inside of the track. Carl Van Horn gets the car back on the racetrack. Positions have been lost, and I think that was Kalevala in 22nd position that made that contact with Carl Van Horn. Big dramas here, and Cody Besseling now trying to immediately take advantage. Kalevala runs him wide through Hollywood, down the graded curves. A little bit naughty from Kalevala at this stage in the race. Cody Besseling will be getting frustrated as we come down the hill. Can he get the run through the whole hairpin? The more speed you can carry through the old hairpin, the longer that will drag you up the hill as well, as Carl Van Horn on the recovery drive in 23rd position, and Tyson's in 15th has a 10-second time penalty as well. It's all happening here, Christian, with just 1 minute 50 seconds left on the clock, and Besseling gets the job done. Kalevala loses out on corner exit. Besseling takes the position, and then Van der Meer as well, trying to buy into this one around the outside. Will he be given the racing room he needs, the racing room he has commanded? Yes, he will. And they'll be on the inside for the chicane as we ride on board with Ralph van der Meer now for the drag race down to the chicane. Kalevala has the outside line, the inside is for Van der Meer, and the position has been taken.
A bit of a situation in the team, considering one of them has been first thrown out by his own teammate, and secondly he made contact with another car just in front, while the other teammate, in the name of Besseling in 15, actually made progresses in 22nd place, and now we are back into 24th for an overtake from the same Kalevala in what is the car number 18, Van der Meer, on the outside of turn 12, now on the main straight, with the JL Motorsport car still behind the white and red, pink rather, car just in front, with QRT looking behind, and there's a bit of a sandwich situation, and a car is off, spinning in the outside. QRT number 87 with Hull on the driving side is currently off track, and now we are back into 11th place with the number 5 of Quinn Smith, still targeting, not only targeting, but I think he made the overtake. In fact, he made the overtake on Van der Molen as we go back with Hull.
So Cannavale's got the magnets on, Christine, at this moment in time. Contact with almost every car in the back of the grid at this moment. Cannavale needs to reassess his composure coming into these final few minutes of the race. Ian Hall unfortunately paid the biggest price of that contact, so the QRT Esports driver all the way down now in 26th position. Quinn Smith has lost a place, he's down into 12th. Vincent still ahead, and I think that's Van der Molen has made his way past, and Smith under massive pressure as we enter the final lap of this opening race of the day.
Quinn Smith in 10th. I don't know why the graphic showed 12th, but we are now in Peter Brett's eyes, effectively, looking at him driving the car flawlessly with even the fastest lap of the entire race, 1:39.342, currently fastest than everybody else by a tenth and a half at the very least, and the closest driver to that time is indeed his teammate with a 39.4, 7 bar behind. But now going into the main straight, and now there is also a battle, because obviously the race is not over yet. FRL Racing Team with Sergio Osorio currently fighting for 14th place, or even 13th rather, because Tysons has a 10 seconds penalty, so ultimately these overtakes doesn't really serve any justice to whichever move Tysons may take out of the sleeves, while there is Hill trying in the 216 to keep the position for himself. Now he copies onto the longest straight, while we see Peter Brett now coming to an end of this race, and will take the finish flag for the race number 1 of the second weekend, sort of racing for SOP Motorsport, while Simon Bauer completes in second place in the 101, with Bruce just completing the podium with another battle ongoing.
Yep, so Quinn Smith has been in a battle all the way through this race, but he comes through the final corner. He's currently in 10th position. Vincent lost a lot of time on that final lap, but not quite enough for Quinn Smith to make the move. Here is Tysons with that 10-second time penalty as well. He manages to make his way around the final corner on the outside line. In fact, that's opened the door for everybody else to go through a drag race to the line. Will they be able to secure the position? Tysons crosses the line 13th, but of course he will drop out the running order courtesy of that 10-second post-race time penalty that is to be applied. And that was a fantastic race. The start of the race, the two SOP cars led away from the field. The green flag by the marshal a little bit late there for the run down into Redgate corner for the first lap, into team play, delivered to perfection from the two SOP cars. The rest of the pack was reasonably clean through Redgate, and the run down into the Craner curves, side-by-side action in the opening few corners. Not quite enough to get the deal done before we get to the old hairpin, but again around the outside, an incredibly brave manoeuvre here at Donington Park, rarely seen, but on this occasion worked to perfection for the drag race up to McLean's. 3 wide at one juncture, but the 13 had the inside line. The 13 took the advantage. Car number 1 that was seen at Benjamin Eck, he had a 5-second time penalty applied to his race on the checkered flag, and that was for a little bit of contact that we see here as we get sideways through McLean's, pushing the rival off the racetrack. The old hairpin, often a place where plenty of drama unfolds. That is the 112 of Joey Tysons, goes for a trip across the grass, no harm, no foul. He rejoins the racetrack just in front of Laura. Good little bit of racing here that we see on the run down into the chicane. This is a passing opportunity we very rarely see in motorsport, but on occasion it worked. On this occasion, that led to an incident for the number 20 of Abe Santamayor. He ran off, not the first driver to do that one over the course of this race. And the old Melbourne Loop, another place where passing proved to be very possible indeed, and that is the 37 of Juice Loon making a move, and then secondary contact into the barrier as we go. That would not be missed by the stewards. A flash of the lights though, trying to put your driver in front off for the run down into the chicane. This is a very nice opportunity and a very well executed overtaking manoeuvre by the 19 of Artemi Ilin. Takes the position away, but under pressure into the Melbourne loop. On this occasion has the line covered, but the old switchback didn't work. Artemi Ilin quickly finding himself facing the wrong direction and almost a kiss of the barriers for good measure as well. This was the move that failed of the race. That is the 667 in third place, trying to find a way past around the outside in the dying embers of the race. That didn't work on this occasion, required a little bit of defensive driving to the flag, and then here is the lightest of touches for the 13 of Carl van Hoorn into the barriers. He would be on a recovery drive for the final few laps of this race as Kalevala gets himself involved in a little bit of drama that led to a four-way fight into T1. And we said, didn't we, Christian, at the top of the show, these cars on this track a great combination do make, and that's exactly what we've seen despite some of the contact towards the end.
Effectively the main area of overtake and even just trying was Melbourne Hairpin turn 11, the SS 9 and 10, copies turn 8, and even the whole hairpin going through the main points. All the hairpin that has always been a bit of a too much, even for this car, considering we had some trial and error rather than just tryings. I was expecting something on copies, I thought something like extraordinary, just one or maybe two, not this many. Some contacts even, but obviously because copies is not really the main overtaking point on the British track. The S's were not difficult for any overtake, luckily, but they were difficult just to keep the line on point. The curb on inside and outside, effectively. The curb on the inner parts of the S's, so it's easier, are slightly higher than the tarmac. So the situation that happens there is basically you throw the car, it may bounce, and if it bounces, either you're quick on the reaction or you tend to lose the car, as we saw one of the track issues cars going sideways in the middle of the straight, with Melbourne Hairpin completing the, I wouldn't say situation scenario, but rather the hotspots of the track. With Melbourne Hairpin, we saw an attempt for second place that went void for just some greediness, because trying on the outside, late braking on Melbourne Hairpin while downhill, there are better occasions to do that, and Melbourne Hairpin doesn't really forgive you because outside there is just gravel and grass. So,
and of course, everybody at home, you probably enjoyed that one, but don't worry, we're doing it all again. So this is a two-race day, of course, just like we saw for the first race of the season. We're into another qualification now, a 10-minute qualification session, which we'll have a look at in a few moments' time. And then we're going to do another 20-minute race. 10 minutes for qualifying, the drivers have got to set their time. So let's go back to a virtual Donington Park and have a look who's fast and who's setting their grid slot with 7 minutes left on the clock. Nobody yet has set a time. But again, Christian, you've got one race under your belt already. You've taken the learnings that you need to take. You know more about the car. You know more about the track. This is when we're going to see who can maximise that one into this race.
I can tell you that there will be more safeness on the track, especially when the incident happened. So Melbourne Hairpin straightforward, and copies will be way more. I think a more defending line will be used there, because there has been too many appointments with either a contact or an overtake. And
so I'm just hearing in my ear that we're going to go on board with one of these drivers. So let's have a look now as we are on board the BMW M2 CS Racing Cup. The charge down across the line on the left-hand side. Now breaks the timing zone. This is Peter Brett, who won first time out First corner, red gate, really difficult. The corner's been opened up in recent years. You can get on the throttle a little bit earlier. You want to use the rumble strip on the outside of the racetrack because you're carrying this speed all the way down the very famous training curves. Let's have a look at the throttle bar in the bottom of his screen. Little lift in the second portion of the corner, get the car to the left-hand side, hard on the brakes, throw the car in to the old hairpin much faster than you would expect it to be, especially in these cars, and then power all the way up the hill through Schwann's curve after the famous MotoGP world champion. Keep the car to the left-hand side. We brake now into McLaren's. Very careful not to run the car wide out onto the gravel. We've got some traffic ahead, but they're going to stay out of the way for the run uphill to Coppice. Blind corner, maximum commitment to the inside. Use the curb on the inside line. Gather the car together on the opposite lock. Keep the car nice and tight. You don't want to run onto the grass. Now the back straight. We're coming down into the foggy S's. You've got to be ultra precise on your braking zone. You can carry the speed through this corner. Be greedy on the curb on the inside. Straight line the chicane on the second part of the corner. A little bit untidy there for Peter Brett, just enough to manage to get through without too much disruption. Then now downhill, hard braking, biggest braking zone on the track for the Melbourne Loop. Keep the car nice and tight. Straighten up as soon as humanly possible. Back on the throttle again. Slightly uphill for the run down into Goddard's. The car gets out of the way on our left-hand side. Goddard's another corner. You can't see the apex from the cockpit. Early in, make sure you kiss the curb on the inside line. Straighten the wheel as quickly as possible. Hard on the loud pedal. Straight line to the line. So we improve our lap time for Peter Brett into 5th position, 0.3 of a second on the table. That was a scruffy lap, but Christian, I absolutely believe that Peter Brett will be able to find the time for another pole position.
Usually the first lap being made is usually just okay, this is the track. I know it sounds stupid when they literally made an entire race because of it, but it's a bit of a mentality situation even because you are back into qualifying, you are back into, okay, you have to be fast whatever it happens. And it was the first lap for Peter Brett, so I think it was just sort of workout, okay, I'm back in qualifying, I'm back in the rhythm. For the first lap is always a sort of, not a qualifying lap. The first lap is usually, okay, I still have to hit the tires, I still have to hit the brakes, I still have to hit myself. So the situation is still undergoing that part. Very interesting to see Bruschnitz and Bauer still on point though, and Zakhtar a bit of a surprise in 3rd position in number 3. And as I was saying earlier, I think I will see now a bit of a difference in the hotspots. Let me explain. Basically, earlier in turn 1 and into what is effectively turn number 7, McLean's, we didn't see so many overtakes as usual. Usually there are way more overtakes in those spaces, but possibly because Redgate and McLean's are very difficult in this car. It's a situation where the car is understeery. You have space on the outside, but it's not as much as the other points. And regardless, they are very fast points. They work very well in GT4 and GT3 cars, but these are M2 Cup cars. They are fast, obviously, 6-cylinder in line, 4 valves. It has 430 horsepower in his engine bay. It's not very long, 4.4 meter for 1.9 meters of wide length and a wheelbase of 2.6 meters. And the engine is a 3-liter 6-cylinder, as I said earlier. So very strong, not obviously as a GT3 cars, but doesn't have the aero capabilities of those cars that can make the overtake stick in turn 1 and McLean. Those are still very downforce demanding corners to attempt an overtake, while it's way easier to make it on all the hairpin, Melbourne hairpin, Coppice, for a very simple reason: braking zone. Those zones are very hard on braking, especially Coppice considering its uphill. So you get it easier on the overtake situation.
Yeah, there are beautiful cars and a beautiful track, and we're looking now at the Lightspeed Racing of Laura Hill, 24th position at this moment in time. The 216 coming through the chicane, a little bit wide, manages to stay within track limits though. Daniel Brunschitz is the man on pole position though, with a 39.239, just a 1/10 of a second slower than qualifying 1 for the opening race. Simon Bauer and Alex Zakdal in 2nd and 3rd place. Can Hill improve the time now as we run through to the final corner? 24th looking for a stronger qualifying position, if at all possible, through the final turn. She's going to hopefully get the timing being broken for light speed racing and improve on her standings at this moment in time. Several cars in pit lane, 43 seconds left on the clock. We do improve, but only to 23rd place. Andrew Pike, the Sim Racing Collective, in 8th position, the number 57, looking for a further improvement. Meckin as well in 33rd place, currently are 1.178 tenths of a second away for a provisional pole position. Can the QRT esports driver do anything about that? Daniel Brunchett's time, a 39.232, is the quickest of this session. Let's have a look now if Meckin can improve. 13th at the moment, about across the line, and does into 11th place.
Currently the QRT Esport gaining a little place there, while Pike is going into the Melbourne hairpin. Qualifying is over, so this is effectively the last lap, with Zaktal completing the qualifying session in 3rd place. He will be the first one of the 26, apart from the ones that are still in the pits, with Pike possibly still improving. I can see on the situation that this may be well the case. 57, kind of a bit wide there on entry though, and I don't think it will be an improvement because he's going into the pits with Van Horn 1.4 seconds away in 15th place. There is indeed an improvement for his car, although it's very small, but it will be maybe something remaining on the final hairpin, while Peter Brett, the man on a mission, because he is effectively improving 1.5 tenths, and he goes into 3rd, while Van Horn remains in 15th position and completes the qualifying session there.
So that's a turn up from the books. Peter Brett, 3rd position on the grid. We've not seen that this season, and is behind Simon Bauer. So they've inverted from race 1, but Daniel Brunchett is the outlier in that qualifying. He's the man that puts the car on pole position. Really good job from Daniel there. Remember, he finished 3rd in the opening race of the day, despite that mistake at the Melbourne Loop. So this is a big opportunity for the 667 to get a big result under his belt. And it was just, let me have a quick look down the timing screen. Yep, 1 second covering the top 13 cars on a circuit that's just over 14 kilometres in length, has 12 corners. That's a very tight qualifying, Christian, which suggests we're in for another very exciting race.
Effectively, it will be very tight. In this scenario, there is little to nothing between the drivers. I also noticed that there were close to 20 milliseconds apart. Some drivers were 20 milliseconds apart from each other, especially the teammates. Bauer and Peter Brett were literally 20 milliseconds apart. It was quite fantastic to be seen on screen, with Zaktal being pushed on 4th position and Kieran Sharp there, just looking on the back side of the grid as we go. In fact, with the top 13. 26, sorry.
Let's have a look then at our starting grid for this second race. It is Daniel Brunchett. That's the man on pole position. Simon Bauer will be alongside him on the front row of the grid. Our race 1 winner, Peter Brett, car number 100, on the left-hand side of your screen for SOP Esports, starts in 3rd place. Alongside him, car number 3, Alex Zakadal in 4th. 5th position is for Kieran Sharp, and Benjamin Eck, with a 5-second time penalty in race 1, he starts in 6th place in car number 1. Expect to see big things from the FRL machine. In 7th place is Joe Boyle, car number 102, a better qualifying this time around. And number 57 is 8th on the grid. That is, of course, Andrew Pike. Alongside him, the QRT 87 machine of Ian Hall, with Quinn Smith in 10th position in car number 5. 11th place goes to Ricardo Meckin in the number 33 machine, and in 12th position is Abe Santamayor. We'll be hoping for a cleaner and more enjoyable race this time around. And 13th is Scott Vincent in the 455.
On the right side, you have a 111 Mino van der Molen that earlier on made quite the performance on screen. Then, number 13, Carl Van Horn in the QRT 37 is Jos Lune, starting in 16th position. Joey Tissens, earlier with a penalty, is starting in 17th, with Sergio Osorio in 18th place in the car number 2 for FRL Racing Team. Then we have in the number 19, in 19th position, so it's easier for me, Elin and then in 20th it's Beasters. Then we go for the last ones with Remco Ottens, Ralf van der Meer, Cody Besslink, Laura Hill, Arne Seeling, and completing your starting grid of 26 drivers is in 1, 2, 3, Palanav Kalevala.
Fantastic stuff. And now, of course, the eagle-eyed of you will notice 2:15 p.m. is the in-game time. So several virtual hours have passed since our first race this morning as Daniel Brunschitz drives away from the line for the formation lap for a rolling start, for this race. Big shout out, by the way, to everybody watching on YouTube. It's great to have you along with us. If you've got any questions you want to ask Christian or myself, if we get an opportunity, feel free to post in the chat and we'll keep our eye on that one. And also a reminder that this, of course, is going to be final race of the championship. The ASETEK SimSports Community Trophy will take place during the SimRacing Expo on the weekend of the 13th and 14th and 15th of October. If you've not been to the ADAC SimRacing Expo, I highly recommend you go and do that. It's a great experience, a mecca of sim racing for all our fans. And of course, you'll get to see the live broadcasted final of this fantastic little race. And also a big shout out to SimGrid. These are SimGrid community teams. These are communities that sit within the SimGrid platform. So if you've seen this race and you want to take part yourself, you can go over to the SimGrid, browse many communities that are on the platform, potentially join up and go racing with them. And who knows, next time we run this event, you may well be one of the drivers that we're commentating over in what has been, I think it's fair to say, a very exciting mini championship.
This other 20 minutes race will just give the best possible because the drivers have experience on the matter, considering the race that happened just earlier. They've experienced on the overtakes, they've experienced on the braking zones, they've experienced even on the mistakes, because they are needed to improve yourself as always. And as a matter of fact, Brunschitz is now leading the pack that will go into turn 1 with his red and white and black car for JL Motorsport. Leading the duo that earlier on was effectively leading the pack. Now going into the most critical part, because effectively that is what it is, into Melbourne hairpin, and then Goddard's will be turn 12. I suppose many drivers will have learned what really happened earlier on, so I don't think we will see any blunder move on the situation.
That sounds like a commentator's curse if ever I've heard one, Christian.
Now everyone will crash there.
Well, let's take a look, because we're coming now to the final corner. This is the last opportunity for our drivers to warm their brakes, warm their tyres, get themselves in a mental state in order to go racing for just 20 minutes. Daniel Brunschitz leads the field. He has got Simon Bauer alongside him. Peter Brett, who's having an incredible season, is in third position from Alex Zakadal once again. 2 by 2, there you go, 26 cars preparing to go racing as the green flag is about to wave, and we are go for 20 minutes at Donington Park at the ASETEK SimSports Community Trophy. Brunschitz has the inside line, Bauer trying to go all the way around the outside at T1. Peter Brett though keeps the car nice and tight. Can he find an opportunity up the inside? Oh, Brunschitz, Bauer still around the outside. He's vulnerable for the run down to the craning curves, but he stays with Brunschitz. He has the inside line for the second part of the corner. Brunschitz runs a little bit deep, and there is Peter Brett around the outside of the old hairpin. Can he stay with Daniel Brunschitz? Yes, he can, for the drag race up the hill. This is a great opportunity for Peter Brett to follow his SOP Esports teammate into the front of the pack. There is Brunschitz, has the inside line, but there we go. Peter Brett around the outside gives him racing room. Now Brunschitz looks to the inside again for the run up the hill into Coppice. He's not got the overlap, he's vulnerable, he's hard on the brakes, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you go from 2-3 to 1-2 in the space of a lap.
Effectively, Daniel Brunschitz gave the opportunity easily on the SOP cars by placing himself kind of wrongly on the outside, going into the old airplane. Now we go into the chicane, the main chicane that earlier on saw a couple of victims for the bumps. This time it doesn't happen to be the same case. Everyone goes one after the other in a single file, and we go now into the Melbourne airplane. There is also free wide in the background, but it's still battle for free with Zaktal trying to get the position number 3, and there is also now Chris Smith for Zakalicious trying the position in 14th place. effectively losing the position, apologies, on the inside. Oh, there is a contact between the FRL racing car and I think it was Pike in the 57. It was indeed the Pike in the 57, getting a bit of a door knuckle on himself, in fact flashing the light, asking for the position to be given back, but I don't think the FRL racing team has his mirror on, considering he will not let him pass so easily. And now they get back going in single file, sort of single file, considering I'm seeing a Trekilicious car going side by side into the old hairpin. In fact, he gets it inside, then will become the outside, so a bit of a situation there, considering there is a contact and the car is off, into the grass he goes, and now there has been a contact. I think it was Vincent making contact with Quinn Smith in the number 5, and now Quinn Smith is indeed in the grass in the last position. Not damage for him, but certainly damage in terms of positioning, because now he is ending the pack of 26 cars.
Yeah, that's a real disappointment for Quinn Smith. Just Scott Vincent a little bit too aggressive on the exit of the whole hairpin, and then 2 cars into the space for 1 does not go. Quinn Smith drops all the way to the back of the field. Further contact for Smith has been a disappointing evening racing for Quinn Smith in car number 5. Andrew Pike, that we're looking at now. We've seen Andrew Pike in and around the top 6 pretty much all evening long, and here he goes again, but this time he's got Benjamin Eck ahead. Eck having a much better start to this race. He's dropped 1 position from his qualification spot, but he's still firmly in contention. Is the Swedish driver Benjamin Eck now, but he's under pressure as we run up the hill. Can Pike find a way past? Looks to the inside just to show his nose, just to fill the mirrors of the car ahead. No room at this moment in time, but Andrew Pike is very much on his tippy toes in the Sim Racing Collective machine as he's trying to find a way past. Benjamin Eck ahead as Peter Brett, car number 100, after that monumental opening lap to find his way past, is very much painted to the back of Simon Bauer ahead.
I think we will see a sort of battle in the teammates ground, because the gap to Brushin is currently into the second, so they can effectively play the game of sort of following each other and even battling for position, considering the gap behind is also getting wider and wider. Now there is 1.5 seconds between Brushin and Brett. Seems like Brushin is not really finding his pace back after the race earlier, when he was effectively following closely Simon Bauer in the 101, and now he's getting gapped, and not even that, but he's getting attacked by currently the fastest lap holder, Alex Zachtar, in the number 3, that he probably wants the 3rd position, now being in the hands of the JL Motorsport driver.
Yeah, Zach Dahl on the charge. Artem Yelin that we're looking at now in 18th position. Another driver on a charge as well. 18th is not where the number 19 would like to be in this race. He's trying to find a way past Sergio Osorio ahead of him, but at this moment in time he's still got to make a gap, as we're seeing Beisters and Vincent side by side into the Melbourne loop as well. The 2 black machines just ahead of the screen. A little mistake from Hill, as well as Hill rejoins a little bit dangerously and makes light contact once again further down the running order. That is Laura Hill for Lightspeed Racing, that we're looking at 23rd place, where she qualified, but would be hoping to maybe have moved up a little bit in the opening skirmishes of this race. Look at this for a beautiful camera shot from our TV director Mike Yao. Andrew Pike, the Sim Racing Collective car, just sat behind the grille as we run down to, mark my words, one of the most beautiful sections of corners, not just in British motor racing, but in motor racing in general. Fantastic section. The crane occurs through the whole hairpin. Dust kicked up from the cars ahead. That was Sharp, I think, running a little bit deep as well. Here we go. That is Kieran Sharp. In fact, is that Zach Dahl? Yes, it is. Zach Dahl is under pressure now in 4th position. Kieran Sharp trying to find a way past, encouraging the car ahead to go a little bit quicker. A kiss on the rear bumper as well. Now Sharp will go tight on the exit of this corner if he can, but good defending from Zach Dahl. He knows where the threat lies. He defends the inside line, slows the car on the apex, give your rival no chance to get the overlap, and Kieran Sharp is very much a meat in the sandwich of the FRL racing team here at this moment in time.
The situation is very odd for Kieran Sharp, for the Sim Racing Collective, because he is in a bit of a sandwich between the FRL bread. Now in fact it's number 1, Benjamin Eck, trying it outside, and the situation is double, because it's also a sandwich within a sandwich, because Benjamin Eck is indeed in another sandwich between the two black and gold cars. This pack is effectively a sort of team battle, considering one end, both ends are covered by both teams, and I really think Benjamin Eck can try it out, because in the last lap 8 tenths have been gained by the Swedish driver driving for FRL. 40.2 for the number 1, 41.0 by Sharp and 40.9 by Zakdal, with a 40.2 by Pike. So this situation is extremely dangerous for Zakdal, extremely generous for Benjamin Eck, now sitting there, going into the old hairpin, a bit of a grass foliage going off the wheels of, I think it was Brunschitz up ahead, and now the gap is indeed 2.1 seconds, speaking of which, between Zakdal and Brunschitz, quite the lot, considering the situation that was earlier on, with just a few times separating the two. Bit of a better exit by Sharp in the number 23, and maybe, just maybe, this may be the time for an overtaking to stack straight.
Yeah, so we're looking on board with Benjamin Eck. There is the car of Kieran Sharp ahead. Zakdal is very firmly on the defensive for the run down into the chicane. Sharp has a little look, not a really an overtaking opportunity at this stage, just showing his nose, making sure the car ahead knows he's keen to make a manoeuvre. But Benjamin Eck, look at the run. He gets through the foggy S's. Now he's the man on his tippy toes. Defensive driving from Zakdal ahead, trying to find a way to keep that Sim Racing Collective car behind him, but this is an opportunity for Benjamin Eck. It's also an opportunity for Andrew Pike behind, who's watching this one with a great deal of interest. Benjamin Eck throws the car to the inside line. He has the high ground, he has the advantage. The both drivers give each other the racing room. Good driving from Benjamin Eck, good driving from Kieran Sharp. Now it's a drag race along the start-finish line into the first corner at Redgate. The outside line is not where you need to be. Eck will try and switch back to the inside if at all possible. Gets a good launch off of the corner, has enough room just about through the run through Hollywood, down into the Craney curves. Benjamin Eck using all of his bravery around the outside, a lift of the throttle, just slot back in again. Now into the old hairpin where defensive are Kieran Sharp. He's holding on to the position. Sharp on the absolute limit of adhesion at this moment in time. Benjamin Eck does not have a BMW sized gap in which to go through, and I think he's got a little bit of a kiss as well from Andrew Pike behind. Eck trying to gather the car back together again, not quite sure what happened there, but Benjamin Eck's eyes will be like dustbin lids trying to keep this thing in a straight line as he's been nibbled at left, right and centre from Pike, and now Ian Hall trying to buy into this one.
Sim Racing Collective will try whatever it takes to take points, because they are just 1 point behind JL Motorsport and just 4 ahead of DC Sim Racing. So every point matters in this very situation, when they can get even 2 or 3 position, but even lose them all. As you can see here, Ian Hall for QRT Esport is just behind, looking at this battle by thanks to a VIP ticket for looking at this battle up ahead. And you can see the FRL car is now in the sandwich between the two Sim Racing Collective cars, with Ian Hall possibly understanding the situation. Considering they are nervous, they will be way more prone on making mistakes, on braking, on cornering. Even on the overtake itself, it may be just a moment, just a blink of an eye when you have the opportunity, and I think Hall will use the very best opportunity to take whichever position, because even them, QRT Esport, are on the verge of another position, 2 points behind the sim zone. So everyone here is battling for points, everyone here is battling for position. I don't think they will be, I would say, cautious on the matter. I think they will literally throw the car if needed, as we saw earlier with one of the FRL cars. As you can see, a bit wide for Ian Hall on the old hairpin, going into McLean's turn 7. He loses a couple of temps. Meanwhile, there is a battle behind Menno van der Molen in 11th place for DC Sim Racing. The team currently in 6th position. There is a warning for car 57 for the contact happened in lap 1 between the 57 and number 1, with the number 11 in the 111, too many ones for me to say about. Currently sitting a couple of temps, exactly 4 behind Macking in the car number 33 in 10th place.
So a relatively clean start, a few warnings, but nobody carrying a time penalty at this moment in time. We've surpassed the halfway mark now as we're looking at Cody Besselink for the SimZone 20th position. Is Cody at this moment in time? Juice Loon is the driver for QRT ahead that we're trying to find a way past in car number 15. There is Laura Hill keeping a watching brief as well in the background, but she's got some attentions on Ottens and recovering Smith. Smith dies to the inside of the hairpin. Good move by Smith, gets the deal done as Besselink still trying to have a look, trying to understand where the opportunities may present themselves against Juice Loon. Loon using quite a bit of the racetrack at this moment in time. It does look a little bit pressured, a little bit less smooth and under control than the cars behind. You need to get that one under control very quickly indeed. Otherwise, this duo of Besselink and Hill will very quickly be on the back of the number 37 machine.
The question at the moment is a bit stationary in terms of precautiousness. Possibly the drivers have understood that just throwing the car and hoping for the best is not the best tactic to gain position. So now they are going a bit more cautious on the matter, even if the situation for 19th place with Lune in the 37, defending on Besselink for the SimZone car number 15, the QRT. Oh, there is an overtake instead by behind the mirror. It was an overtake, at least a trial of an overtake by Hill, now being overtaken by Smith on... Oh, there is a contact with the wall. Ralph van der Meer currently in the wall in last place, number 18 for VGTR Esports. Is not really finding a well path for themselves. Now the light speed racing currently trying something. It is indeed the Track Delicious car trying an overtake. It doesn't happen because the car in front of the SimZone car has to brake on the chicane, and now it gives the light speed racing a chance on the Melbourne hairpin, maybe two position. No way he can make it. Free wide on the exit of the Melbourne hairpin, and now they will go possibly free wide into the final hairpin. It is indeed a situation with this. Oh, they really were greedy on the matter of both cars, Trackilicious and SimZone, with Smith in 23rd and Besselink in 22nd, lost their positions on Hill and Ottens, gaining 20th and 21st respectively.
Yeah, that was a little bit messy from that battle pike, but Hill sneaks through, takes an easy overtaking. Now let's have a look at Peter Brett. Remember, Peter Brett has pretty much been the talent of the season so far. Absolutely sensational in the opening round, and then in the opening race this evening took pole position and race victory. An uncharacteristically average, shall we say, qualifying session to be third on the grid made up for that one, with bells on in the opening lap to move up to second. And now the 100 machine is very firmly in the wheel tracks of teammate Simon Bauer at the front of the field. He's going to be conscious that if you're going to make this overtake, it needs to be clean. You need the points for the SOP team. But I am certain that Peter Brett will not be satisfied to stay in second position. Now it's the time to pull the pin, so to speak, and see what Simon Bauer is made of ahead. If you can apply the pressure, fill the mirrors, be as close as humanly possible to your teammate. Try and make Bauer make just the smallest of mistakes to open that opportunity. And don't you worry, Peter Brett will be in that gap quicker than you can blink. But so far, he stays in second position. Quinn Smith in the middle of all the dramas, once again around the outside of the Melbourne Loop, on this occasion losing a position. And Kieran Sharp for the Sim Racing Collective, still very firmly ensconced in the middle of a battle pack consisting of himself and three other cars in 7th place.
Benjamin Ekin, number 1, effectively managed to get out of the sandwich, now sitting in 5th place. Meanwhile, we'll get back at the battle between Bauer and Brett. Situation in the lap times is a difference in the terms of 2 tenths per lap in the last lap at the very least. 140.0 for Bauer. Brett made a 39.8 with Bruschnitz still losing a bit on the 100 car with a 59.9. Meanwhile, we are back here in the battle because effectively the sandwich became just Brett's situation with the other part of the sandwich that will become Ian Hall with his pace. Number 87 currently sitting in 8th place. In the last lap they gained 1.8 seconds, quite a lot to be fair. I didn't expect that. And cutting a bit the chicane, that's a bit of a track limit violation in my opinion, but they have free, remember, so they can play with them. Now Hall 9 times away from Sharp, who is possibly tempted to attack his teammate in the 57 for position, because effectively now in this situation, possibly the QRT Esport may be able to take the position on a 23. In fact, they are very, very close together, nearly a contact between the two on the Godards, and racing incident between car 5 and 455, so no penalty are being given in this very moment. Situation on lap times, Hull lost 3 times on the last lap, 40.5 for Sharp, 40.8 on Hull. Sharp indeed, that is possibly, I don't think he will, but possibly try the overtake on the old hairpin into turn number 4. The situation stays one after the other for the two teammates at the moment.
So Ian Hall, QRT Esports, 8th position, becoming a little bit detached from the Pike and Sharp fight ahead of him. Of course, the harder driver squabble, the more opportunity you've got to go faster and close that gap down. Ricardo Meckin, though, has no such issue in the number 33. He's in 10th position. Just ahead is Boyle. Boyle, remember, he qualified within the top 10 for this second race of the day, but doesn't quite have the race pace. And Laura Hill is recovering back off the racetrack again just before Schwant's curve. So the light-speed racing driver has been in some kind of incident, so she's off the track. Rejoins in 24th position, loses 4 positions courtesy of that drama, but not ideal for Laura Hill, as Simon Bauer, who we look at with 1 minute 54 seconds left on the clock, is still our race leader. And Scott Vincent for the Sim Racing Collective, hard on the brakes into the Melbourne loop, trying to stay out of the back of the number 20, gets the switchback, concentrates on corner exit. That's going to put him to the outside line though, so he breathes off the throttle, slips back in behind the 20 once again. Live to fight another day. No point fighting when you're not in an optimal position to take the move. It's better to drop back again, wait for a better opportunity. Don't compromise yourself, because remember, you are racing the other cars for position, but at the end of the day, a motor race is the driver who can get from point A to point B the quickest. The harder you squabble, the more time you lose. The more time you lose, the more vulnerable you become to the cars behind. So clever bit of driving there from Vincent to regather his composure and go again at a later stage.
With 2 laps to go, and a mistake now will be effectively closing the door to any possible opportunity you can be given, considering you can't really overcome nor gain back whatever you lose in this very situation. With just 8 kilometers, not even, I think now we are getting into 4, more or less, considering the leaders are getting closer and closer to the finish line. Little cut there for Vincent, possibly trying with whatever he still has in his tires, because if he hasn't used the track limits violation, you can simply use them as a joker. It's simply a tactic, to be fair. You can use them. And a bit on the grass there. I think he was way too great on the chicane, going a bit wide on the grass, losing a couple of not a couple, maybe just a tenth, but considering the gap between the two is currently just 1 second because they went wide. Meanwhile, we're getting into the white flag, so it means last lap for Simon Bauer and Peter Brett to confirm another 1-2 for SOP Motorsport. The only question is which driver will get to the end. Currently Bauer defending the lead towards the fastest man on the circuit with a 49.4 for both drivers, but Brett was quicker in terms of milliseconds. Now going into the old hairpin into turn 4, then 5, and then 6. It will be Starcase Bridge. It's still one after the other in this situation, but I think Brett really wants the lead of the race, although he probably doesn't want to ruin the 1-2 regardless of the situation. Going the copies, uphill section, one of the few last overtaking spots remaining, doesn't attempt anything, so maybe, oh, Benjamin Eck has a penalty, 15 seconds penalty for the car number 1 in 5th place. This is a disastrous for his race, because it would let him fall, I think, into 17th place, more or less. Just giving a quick look at the leaderboard. There is a chance on the Melbourne hairpin, turn 11. It may happen on the downhill section. They brake hard on the same moment. It doesn't happen for now. And the car 101 is still in the lead between the 100 and the 101 is still going to be a battle, even into Goddard's into turn 12.
So Simon Bauer then, for the final time, comes into the last corner. He is defended like a star from teammate Peter Breck, and Simon Bauer sees the checkered flag, a smile on his face as well. He crosses the line with the lights flashing. He wins the race for SOP Esports, just ahead of teammate Peter Breck. Daniel Brunschitz holds on to third position, Zach Dahl in fourth, and Benjamin Eck with a 15-second time penalty, and the checkered flag will fall down the order from that position, fifth position. That's a disaster for Benjamin Eck. It's what has been a much stronger second race, as in 15th place Van Horn crosses the line, Beisters in 16th position, just behind as well, and Cody Besselink at the death is going for the move on Ottens. A little bit of contact on corner exit. Besselink has the inside line. They drag to the timing screen, a kiss side by side as well. And that is the end of the race in what has been a very strong event. But let's take a look at this opening few corners once again. Daniel Brunschitz was the man on pole position. He had the inside line into T1 under normal conditions. That's exactly where you need to be. But SOP decided they did not like not leading this race whatsoever, and Simon Bauer, as their highest qualifier, got the brave pills out side by side for the run down the Crater Curves. We're riding on board there for a few moments with Peter Brett. He took the opportunity around the outside of the old hairpin. Great driving, it has to be said, from both drivers to give each other racing room. Brunschitz just ran out of racetrack, forced to the outside line, not where you need to be, and Peter Brett got the deal done to make it an SOP 1-2 before we even got around half a lap, and they converted that all the way to the flag. Further back the running order though, we had plenty of side-by-side drama, a little bit of contact as well from some of our drivers. Here we can see the 2-1-6 of Laura Hill in the middle of all the fighting. The final turn here at Goddard as well, another good opportunity for drivers to get side by side. We saw some great racing, some great overtaking all the way through to the very final corner, the very final lap. On this occasion, that is another one of the SOP cars in a little bit of strife, but gets the deal done. Does Joe Boyle, running well inside the top 10. And this is the sandwich that we spoke about. 4 cars, 2 teams, all squabbling over position. The 23 on this occasion of Kieran Sharp on the outside line just loses out to his rival for the drag race up into T1. But as we've seen so many times, the outside line for Goddard's is the inside line for Redgate. Sharp on that occasion managed to hold on. A little bit of the Jonathan Palmer's grass took a bit of a beating, it has to be said, over the course of this virtual race. Several drivers using the full width of the racetrack and a little bit more as well in their battles further down the running order. Laura Hill being one of the drivers in plenty of strife on that occasion. The pass wasn't quite on, and that opened the door for Quinn Smith to slide it down the inside and take the position away from Hill. Further down the pack, we had some drivers getting into trouble all on their own. That is the 18 of Ralph van der Meer. Hard on the accelerator while on the curbs, sends him to the inside barriers as we run up to Schwantz. Light damage on the front of the 18 would prevent any further progress over the course of the race. Again, Goddard's a flashpoint of the circuit. Understeer being quite the problem for the 21 of Remco Ottens. He concedes not 1 but 2 positions in that bit of drama, and here is Laura Hill again. Very similar to we saw a few moments ago. This time the grass was the instigator of the incident, the end result being the barrier on the inside. And then this is our race winner crossing the line. Simon Bauer soaked up the pressure of his teammate Peter Brett, did the work off of the line into T1, and Christian, his reward was a very, very well earned race victory and another 1-2 for SOP.
SOP with these performances really has put into a little closet a possible championship win, considering we are getting into the final of this mini championship composed of 6 races and 3 sort of weekends, with SOP managing to get back to a 1-2 twice, so a double 1-2, and exciting racing from all the drivers, considering effectively JL Motorsport and Sim Collective were just 1 point one after the other, and QRT Sport and SimZone are just 2.
Yeah,
and Simon Bauer will come in.
Yep, so Simon Welcome to the commentary box, Mr. Simon Bauer. You had all the pressure in the world, and you delivered beautifully. Tell me how you feel.
It was pressure. I do feel pretty good, but to be fair, huge props to Pete as well, because he could have taken me if he had wanted to. Pete was the faster driver there, but so he could totally be in this room in this interview as well. But no, that was awesome. That was clinical teamwork, I'd say.
Well, I mean, Simon, I think it's fair to say the genesis of this victory was your start. That was sensational. Tell me about what happened and how you delivered the pass to get the lead.
So the lights went green and I hit the throttle, and apparently I did that pretty well. So I was already basically side by side going into the braking zone for turn 1, and then I just sent it. I didn't really know where to brake, but I just braked where I thought I should brake. Worked out. I gotta say, Mr. Brunschitz, my opponent, was very, very courteous as well. He was really, I mean, he could have been more aggressive. He could have been an absolute bully and just bullied me off the track. He could have risked more and then held it into turn 2, which I don't know how that would have worked out, but no, he was definitely working with us to get us a safe race.
Yeah, it was superb stuff watching on the broadcast. And of course, you've taken the victory, but just how difficult is it racing against these drivers? Qualifying is so close. You can't afford to make a mistake. And a little word from you, if I can, about the quality of the field in this series.
The quality of the field is wild. It's harder than I expected. Honestly, from the community trophy. Especially in these cars, you'd make a tiny little mistake and you lose 2-3 tenths, and then boom, that's I don't know how many positions in qualifying. So the field strength is there. It's solid. It's very solid. It's definitely not to be underestimated.
And not to be underestimated, Simon, is your team SOP. Another 1-2. Brilliant performance from all of you, wasn't it?
I mean, like I said, Pete was the real star. He had definitely more pace than me. Not only in the first round, but in the second round as well. So he could have taken that win. He could have made it a 4-4-4 for P1s, but he didn't.
Yep, exactly.
He stayed behind.
You took the race victory. Well. Simon, fantastic performance. Great overtakes. Soaked up the pressure. Great pace. Very, very well done, sir. Congratulations.
And thank you very much.
Fantastic stuff. Simon Bauer, the race winner for SOP, and this is the championship provisional, shall we say, championship standings right now. SOP Esports Racing are our championship leaders. 159 points from round 1, 165 from round 2, gives them a total of 324. But in second place, the Sim Racing Collective, 238 points against their name, and they're just ahead of QRT Esports with 209 points. FLR Racing Team are in fourth position. Remember, these points are provisional in 194, 188 for JL Motorsport, 187, just a point in arrears for DC Sim Racing. And then the Sim Zone on 154 are in seventh place, just ahead of Lightspeed Racing with 132. VGTR Esports are ninth on 124, and Trackalicious round out our top 10 teams with 74 against them. So the fight is very, very close for the championship, just not at the top of the standings. SOP Esports, Christian, by dint of the fact that they have been just sensational, have got to go to the final race that's going to be broadcast live at the SimRacing Expo and take a championship, methinks.
The situation at the moment at the top is calm, I would like to say, because with two performances being basically equal on points, literally 6 points of difference between the round 1 and round 2 for them, and 96 points of difference to the SimRacing Collective, it really means that they are calm in the situation. They had a double 1-2, they had a great race. The only real difficulty nearly was just their own teammates nearly battling for position. But other than that, I am a huge fan of every position being contender and not just one that just follows the lead one. And we basically had the entire leaderboard being flipped over, because now we are seeing the SimRacing collective with way more points than what they achieved in the last round, in the order of nearly 50 points of difference. Now with 238 and second in the standing, QRT Sport basically made the same performance. Quite the jump by the FR Racing team that in this round nearly made double the points that made in the first one. So amazing performance by them. This is SimRacing basically is on the same path. The SimZone, on the other hand, fall off a cliff, with their points being gained on this sort of race weekend being not only half but even less than those. Same goes for Lightspeed Racing with 43 points being gained. The VGTR Sport is quite okay with 72 points, 20 more than the last round, and unfortunately for Tackle Issues, they just have one driver, so it becomes really difficult to attack the lead, let's say.
Well, it's been another great race. Let's remember, again, we're back in action for the ADAC Professional Trophy tomorrow here on the SimRacing Expo YouTube channel, so make sure you tune in for that one. And if you're following the ASETEK Sim Sports Community Trophy, the final round will be held on the 13th, there we go, not nearly right, 13th of October at Valencia, and it's going to be the Porsche Cup and the BMW M2 CS Racing Cup. So pop a date in your diary. Also, a massive thanks to ASETEK for making this possible, for Asher Racing, for the ADAC Sim Racing Expo, of course, for SimGrid, and for everybody behind the scenes that put on this championship, the stewards, the race director, the broadcast director, everybody watching at home, to Christian alongside me. And obviously, from myself, a huge thank you for joining us. So from the both of us, we will send to you much love. And hopefully, we'll see you again tomorrow for the ADAC Professional Trophy. But for now, good evening and bye-bye.
Good evening.